there's
I know
not
you
space.
will be traveling constantly.
So I'm always home because for me it's like be as I said is a grounding of being home in Barbados. It takes you back to understanding, the humility of where you came from, your neighborhood. I go and stay home with my dad all the time. He's aging, and it is a part of reality. And for me, it always is a nostalgic um, feeling when I go home because then you get to see the old neighborhood you grew up in and your friends that are all grown and old now, just like you, and
Hmm.
the history of the area because the area I grew up in is Jeffrey Cordell comes from that area, which y'all call Biggie Irie. The
Oh, yeah.
Dreadwins too. Those were the guys that the Spooge duo from Barbados. The late Lou Curtin came from the gap that I grew up in. And then today we have my boys Lead Pipe. Lead Pipe
Wow.
lives in my neighborhood. So
Your
I would
neighborhood.
say, yeah, my old neighborhood. So Carnon Village is like a place where boom, like a host of talent came out of that small neighborhood.
No,
Yep,
the small island produced a lot of talent, Barbados
yep,
in all fairness, and of course on the number one position is Rihanna. So yeah.
exactly.
Hmm.
That's how I tell people we're Barbados. I'm from Rihanna's country because that's how they that's how they
That's how
connect.
they related. That's how
That's
they
how they relate
related.
Barbados. I go like, you know what? They will know that Barbados is not in Jamaica, but when I say no, Rihanna's country, that's where
Right
I'm
away.
from.
They're like,
That's
yes.
so automatically. Oh, you're from Barbados. Yep. But it is such a pleasure. I want to ask you a question though, Sonia, because we're gonna get to this segment right now. Because we always talk about implementing things with our lives. And I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you like what was your breakthrough moment in terms of designing? What was it? Like what was it like for you in your head, your aha moment?
I think my breakthrough moment came, but after living in Bartica, that's just like literally 1 square mile.
Hmm.
I had a shop, not really design. I designed, but just for me and like people, I just did it for fun. And people would always come and say, "Oh, I like what you're wearing. Why is it not in here?" But it was stuff that I did myself, right? So then after consistently that's happening, I was like, hmm, this might be something that I need to pursue. And but I know 1 square mile of mining town, it's like, oh please, how do you really actually design in a town? Actually wasn't a town, it was a village. It's a town now.
Yep.
And I decided I'm gonna pursue this, I need to go to the city. So I started doing stuff there and then I said, I'm gonna take a leap of faith here. And not that I knew anybody in the design fraternity, not know anybody. But I am the kind of person that prefer to try and fail than fail to try. Jump, grow my wings down. And even when my wings are
Exactly.
broken, I believe I can still fly. And I
And
took the
jumping
chance. You know
at
what?
the deep end. That's how we learn to
I went to,
swim.
I went to, like, I'm writing this book eventually along the way called Many Rivers to Cross because I had to cross many rivers to get there. But like Jimmy Cliff have a song, Many Rivers to Cross. That's one of my
Hmm.
favorite. Yeah.
Ex-
Going
Love
to the
that song.
city, going to the city, a little country girl, going to the city could be very intimidating. And I wasn't as confident as I am today, right? But again, I come back again to God in my life and his guidance. And even when I didn't know at that time, I wasn't as conscious as I am now that he really was working in my life. Going to the city and I'm like, I could remember like starting to do stuff and I'm like, oh gosh, are people gonna like this? Then they had this fashion show, a little show like for the Catholic society, right? And that's if I wanted to show. That was my breakthrough. And I said, okay, I'm gonna show. And they had some other senior designers and so on. But in response to my stuff, I was like, I am on to something. I think that night at Mary Mall, and I have
Hmm.
pictures of it. I said, I'm onto something here. And I started becoming even more focused. Like, okay, because I was a school teacher at one point in my life, but really wasn't something just to give back to the community. And I got clients from that same show. And then I saw people the response, but your stuff is different. I was like, okay, then, Sonia, you need to focus. Then I decided, that's the show I was telling you about that. I decided to do this show that was called Simply Irresistible. Like, let me tell you, when I decided I want to do the show, people were scared because they're like, I wasn't so well known. Of course, I had some clients and so on. But I said, I'm going to do a big show. In my mind, I ain't going big or me going to tall, right? So I said, I want a top hotel and I want this and I want that. So I work with a very small team and they're like, Sonia, a top hotel is expensive and it's this, that. And I said, I'm doing it. The Pegasus at the time was the best hotel we had. I booked the conference room and I said, you know what? Okay, I'm going to do 100 pieces for this show. 100 pieces at that time was like, that was like 20 what? So that was like about 27 years ago. 20, about 26 years ago. And then I auditioned for models. See me now like a big designer auditioning for models and stuff, right? People come turn up to the audition and so on, and I get choreographer. Let me tell you something, bro. The show was sold out. The show was not even sold out. And it was like on the front page of every paper. And I was like, yes. Uh, oh, yeah.
That is you working in your walking in your true purpose. You're gifted not only in your your designing but also peering into the future, because you could see that once you say you want something, there's absolutely nothing that you can't do. And people need to understand that the mind is a very powerful thing. It could either go
Like the
against you
eagle.
or with you, because if you are understanding and
I have that
knowing.
in good mindset.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
A lot
Mm-hmm.
of people have a
Focus.
cowboyish mindset, and they are the ones who get in their own way. They say, I can't, and I can't be around. I will say this: I refuse to be around people like that because it turns me. I love being around people that stimulate my mind, that encourage me. Like help you think. I'm thinking outside the box already, and I'm around people that actually think just like me and willing to, take chances, risk, and expansion. Because what the limitations are with most people is that they don't see themselves doing these things. And it's like you are a multifaceted woman. You have all these things under your belt. And a lot of people will stop to say, that's impossible. You can only do this, and they want to put you in a box. And that's when the lioness comes out, because then you have to tell them, listen, hey, no, don't do that to me, because I see myself in many aspects. So I mean, so you are an amazing woman. And sometimes when you get around people like yourself, yeah, I always want to pick your brain. I always want to know, like, what next, like what can we do, right, to get things going, right? And I'm excited about our journey together now that we've reestablished ourselves, together. And I see my guy here. How are you doing? He joined us. How are you?
I am doing great.
I see you're enjoying the show.
I am. I'm all about fashion and all about Caribbean. I have a question for you, Miss
Uh-huh.
Noel. You mentioned earlier that the Caribbean is not a bunch of islands to you. It's more like it's all one, right? And I'm wondering which of the islands has inspired your designs the most and how?
Oh, you're talking about which of the Caribbean islands has
Yeah.
been.
Inspire.
I think I have from different parts because, like, well, we're not an island, we're mainland in Guyana. And lots of my inspiration came from the flora and fauna. In my initial years of designing, I still do a lot of hand painting. It's from the beautiful flora and fauna in Guyana. But I can remember one time when I was living in Barbados, I lived there for 5 years. And I went to Bathsheba one day and I was just looking at the surface. And
Mm.
I just stood there and the aquamarine water, and then when the waves go up, you get that whiteness of the waves and all of that. And I actually did my turquoise collection from that inspiration by Sheba. It actually ended up on the Sheba magazine cover, that particular collection. So I would say from different, like St. Lucia has its plus, like on the pitons. I can remember one day dining and being in the middle of a restaurant and the pitons were on both sides. And, and I look at the majestic pitons. And so it's from the different Caribbean countries. Jamaica has its own appeal. But I can also say, even from outside, I'm going to go outside of the Caribbean. I also get a lot of influence in the continent of Africa for my designs.
Yeah.
I love that.
And have you ever thought about focusing on a country by country and letting that country tell you, not in words, but inspire you? Like, I'm wondering, Kim was asking you, what's next? And I'm wondering, well, maybe what could be next is a series, like if there are 52 Caribbean islands and 52 collections coming or something like that. Have you ever thought about something like that?
You just put something in your head, just no.
In the scheme of things, in the scheme of things, the Caribbean is just a drop in the ocean. And that's why I said I'm local, because putting us all together, it's still a drop. And I have a very special plans for my 30th anniversary. And you're going to get a reflection, because the only Caribbean country that I've never visited is Dominica. I've been to every single one, Dutch Caribbean, French Caribbean, what Spanish. I've been to all of them. So for my 30th anniversary, you're going to see a reflection of so many things along my journey that has influenced me. It might not be like this collection specifically dedicated to Suriname, because I spent a lot of time in that Dutch island. I still do, and I have lots of clients there. And Suriname is a place where that holds also special place in my heart. Actually, when I was deciding which country I'm going to live in, I decided I'm going to leave Guyana. Was Barbados and Suriname were the two places, but Barbados got a tip because it's more central. I can travel from here, like in a drop of a hat, I can be somewhere else. And also the language, it's also for kids in school, it was better. So I definitely would, in my 30th anniversary, is going to be a reflection, a kaleidoscope of colors and nationalities and also ethnicity. And because, as the Caribbean people, is like Kim was saying earlier, and you could just start at the Carafesta, we do have a few differences, but we have a lot of similarities. Like I was feature design in Haiti twice, like for their fashion week. And I mean, I can remember coming back into the US from Haiti, and the immigration in Haiti. Why would you go there? And there's this mayor on his face like, huh? And I was like, I had such a wonderful time. I was telling him, like, that had a really beautiful time in Haiti, both times that I went. So each country, no matter what challenges we have, there's a beauty in everything Caribbean. We are like Richard Young always talk about the Caribbean aesthetic. And I think we are so special in terms of the culinary too, not just our, everything we do. We have that. It's just the way we stand, the way we gesture, the way we talk. There's this, it's just so animated. Everything we do, right? So when people come in, I could remember John Paul Gaultier was telling me, I met him in Martinique, and he was telling me that he comes to the Caribbean for inspiration, So a lot of them come here, they take it from us and sell it back to us. But as Caribbean people, we need to know how special we are and embrace that with everything we have. Does that answer?
That does answer. Thank you. Thank you for putting me on.
Thank you for coming. Listen, I don't think y'all know who this gentleman is. Every time I see him, I'm so impressed by his presence. This young man needs no introduction, but please introduce yourself and tell them who you are here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes, my name is Sorel Keita. I'm from Haiti, and I am one of the board members of the Georgia Haitian American Chamber of Commerce and a business owner and entrepreneur in Atlanta. I've lived here for over 30 years.
Wow.
That's who I am.
I know, but on top of that, he was also one of the presenters at the Captains of Industries Summit as well. And
yes, I was.
Yes.
And I'm also on the board of the Caribbean American Cultural Arts Foundation. So active in the community. I love the Caribbean. I never thought about being local, meaning I'm just local. I'm in the Caribbean.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love us. That's why I keep telling people, I said, I love us, because obviously I came up in Barbados, but the mixed heritage, the Creole solution, and then I have my father's from Beckway, right, which is one of the Caribbean islands off of St. Vincent, the Grenadine
Vincent.
Island, right? So my dad, that's where the Derek name came from, right? I'm a Derek. So my thing was growing up in Barbados and having that connection with my relatives in the other countries. And we also have families outside of that. It was like living or working outside of the Caribbean and then coming home and then enjoying a Guadeloupe trip because I did Guadeloupe many
Like what?
times. Never done Haiti before. I want to do Haiti, but it's like Guadeloupe, Martinique, Dominica, St. Kitts and Nevis. Oh my goodness, I'm married to Caucasian. Okay, so that's my next home. So it's like it's an amazing when you look at the entire Caribbean and the amount of inspiration, as you said, from music, from fashion, everything, sports, everything else. It's like the top of the top. I just love us. I'm just gonna gush on us everything.
People, we are Spice Isles. We are everything that you. Oh my God, we are, and the most
Yes,
beautiful sunsets ever, and sunrise, and oh,
the beaches, the people. Let's talk about the people because it's like the people is like when you have nice like people, and that's important to go back to where we came from. We didn't have much, but we were pleasant people.
and
We
we
were
were
always,
smiling, and we were happy.
you understand? So it's like you speak, hello, good morning. Nowadays, these youngsters and be like, remember
Yeah,
where you are.
normal
And
thing
they
in
look
our
at
life.
you and you're just like, no, because we were talking about that last night on another show. I was on somebody else's show last night on TikTok Live, and I was laughing because we were talking about the fact that in the old days, when your grandparents hear that you misbehave or your auntie or somebody in the neighborhood, you can get two sets of lashes without a right. But it has been, I just love I love our personalities, our colorful language, we pop
Oh,
off sometimes at the mouth, or
all the
colorful language.
stories,
Huh?
all our stories of the old, the elders tell you all these stories, and I mean,
Folklore.
that come from our African
Don't
heritage,
go outside because the heart man don't hold you. He
I don't know
still
if you know this
baby.
one, Tim, but when we're growing up here, if you're pointing the burial ground, if you don't bite your fingers, they all are going to rot.
Really?
You're never biting on my fingers because you point and say, "Oh, somebody's buried there," and you're like, "Oh no!" And you,
I love it. I
oh
love
my
it.
God.
I love it. Tell me some of the like, because we're talking nice things, and we all always positive. But some of the things that like when you think about yourself, your journey in the industry, and encountering women especially, and wanting to promote and support women, like how do you find yourself in terms of like the mean girl? Because the topic conversation for me is like how do we get past that mean girl phase? Like there are women out there that just see us as I said earlier in the conversation, when we have a mission, we don't compete with anybody, we do not compare with anybody, we know who we are, right? We don't have to remind you. When we do what we do, you know who we are, right?
Mhm.
But unfortunately, some of us tend to be harder on ourselves. Women, I would say, they're harder on women than they are on men. How can we get past this point and really start to embrace each other as women and uplift each other? How you see it from your angle?
Yeah, I think it's quite common in all, I mean, not just the Caribbean, but in many circles. But energy grows where energy goes. And I know it exists, and I don't even give it any energy. Sometimes I walk into a room, and especially people have a problem, somebody's confident, right?
Uh-huh.
And, there's a very thin line. And that, some people say, oh, she thinks that she's all of that. I am all of that and more. And I know myself. So I'm okay with that. But
Mhm. And
find
we and
that,
we and we, and we say yes to that.
but I see it. It exists and it's there. I don't give it any energy because it's not gonna. It's really. You know, I'm telling you, some of them eventually when they because insecurities. I'm telling you, some people are insecure. Oh my God, it's one of the worst things. I have been like doing my events and so on. Sometimes you go for sponsorship and so on. When you go in front of another female CEO, sometimes it could be very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I just don't give it a whole lot of energy. And what I do though, I go to schools a lot. I speak at a lot of schools. What I do is try to lay that foundation that is not necessary because we have to target the impressionable minds. That's what we need to do. You see, the whole hard rock, they're already bent in their ways. That's okay. But you see, the ones, the next generation, our future leaders, those are the people that we need to target and let them know it doesn't have to be like this. You know what?
Very, very
Be a
true.
good keeper. And that is what I mean. I go to, they invite me to speak from small to whatever the schools. And that's one of my things that I always, talk about who's your front row, who's your inner circle. You know, you always have to be mindful of if you think you're the big picture, you can't see the big picture. You always have to be, and empathy is one of the things that I often talk about. You have to be able to care about others. So
Mhm.
yeah, but I really don't give it no bloody energy at all.
I
What you think
love
of him is none of my business.
your business, correct. It's very true. And I'm learning, listen, you're never too old to learn. Sometimes I think that childhood wounds, because sometimes the childhood wounds can come back when you have
Oh
not
yeah.
addressed it as adults to be that mean girl, a mean spirited person. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that you said that is very true is to get to these children. I want us to make a conscious effort, and I'm not speaking just to you and I, but to our viewers. Make a conscious effort to get into those schools. If you think you can affect change, this is the children because their minds are still very moldable. When you see a child, because my mother used to say, it got to be inside the home. It has to be inside the home. It starts there first.
Start. It's because environment breeds character. Kim, I
It's true.
started this project. It was just before COVID called the Love Revolution. And I'm going to
Mhm.
relaunch it before the end of the year next year. Because when we look at this is world over, I decided that there was this button, it had the Love Revolution on it in the certain colors that really mean all of them had meaning. And you have to take the pin. When the pin is given to you, you don't keep it for yourself. You pin it on someone and tell them why it's important that we love ourselves, each other, and the environment, right? So we
Mhm.
had pins, you pin somebody in Brazil, then they're in Australia, then they're where these pins went all over the world. And COVID come, we can't really interact with people like that. But it's something that I want because I mean, it was really gaining momentum in the schools. People were like talking to each other about love and whatever because we need it. People are lacking empathy. People are, so I'm going to relaunch that campaign and I'm going to actually concentrate on the, a bit more like digital, more like, virtual and so on because COVID has taught us so much about the virtual space. But coming back again, because a lot of times if people, you can't give what you don't have, Kim. And a lot of times people don't even love themselves much as to love you, right?
That
So
brings
they
it
hate,
me.
they're giving you what they have. So they're showing you hatred is that they hate themselves. So it's a
Hurt
lot of things
people,
that we
hurt
have to do
people.
in society. Yes, there's a
Mhm.
lot of things that we have to do. And we have to chop, it's band-aid. We don't get down to the roots of it. A lot of time we just put on a band-aid and say, okay, but we have to, in certain situations, sometimes we have to go deeper than that.
Yeah, we sweep things, and I say we live in a society community that we sweep things under the rug. We tend to like say, it didn't happen. Like daddy touched me, or my stepfather touched me, or my uncle touched me, or something happened traumatic to you as a child, and you tell yourself it didn't happen, or somebody in your household want you to believe that it never happened. And we live in a society that we like to sweep things under the rug, but that does not mean that that sore does not continue to fester. That does not mean that at the end of the day, that heart that hole in your heart is not still there, and you really got to dig deep. That's why as people, as I would say, as our race, I would say, I can speak for our race, that we tend not to seek therapy help so that we can give ourselves that closure and forgiveness and forgive others, whether they're here physically or not. Forgive others for hurting us, because that right there is them holding on to you, and they hold you prisoner. And my thing is, we got to get past that point too, as people. And that's why when we approach other people, we approaching them as unhealed people.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the attitude is always the, I don't, as you said, I don't like you, because you're looking at a mirror. It's a mirror image there. So as long as you don't address, and we call it shadow work, right? We call it shadow work because it's shadow, it's your past lives, and it still exists inside of you. And until you have come to terms with all of those things about yourselves, and then some of those things can actually empower you to propel you to go to the next level in your life as a healed person. Yeah.
I'm glad
But
you mentioned the word forgiveness, though, because a lot of people thinking that forgiveness is to the other person. That's why people die 10 years, you don't forgive them. They die rotten gone. But it's for you, because a lot of time people cannot move on, and they don't even know why they can't move on, but they have so much baggage with them because they haven't forgiven. And it's not the easiest of things. I mean, it's one of the most difficult things, but we have to find that way to navigate that path. I had to forgive my father for the abandoning us, really. He did, you know. So, but I had to forgive him. But it was very difficult, but I did in the end.
yep, you have to, because it's like it holds it. I mean, like literally you can see it in people when you can tell that they are operating from that childhood wound that they have not moved past. And it's
Mm-hmm.
because they don't trust one, right? They don't believe in themselves, so they tend to project that onto other people. And like for me, like what you said just now about forgiving your dad for abandoning you, because that right there, even though he's not here, you said that, that is powerful. That is extremely powerful, right? But from
That's
a
what I
from a, I see a comment
said.
here. I'm hearing a lot about empathy. Tell us what that really is from a woman's perspective. Empathy.
I think because I grew up in a home that, even though we didn't have much, a lot of love and affection and empathy and so on was displayed. So it
Hmm.
became part of my life. So I guess that's why, like, my philanthropic journey can be so natural to me, because
Hmm.
my little moment in the life of others, I often find myself intentionally
Hmm.
trying to experience the moment. What is that person going through? Moment in the life of others. And I think a lot of times we don't stop for a few seconds to think about that, and we
Yep.
judge harshly. So I mean, not every time I succeed in doing it, but I really try to be a fair person. And I
Hmm.
really try to, as a result of you encountering me, even if it's just for a few seconds, you must be go away with something. I must be able to contribute something. But it has
Hmm.
really, like, when I look at, when I look around, look at my life, the part that I am so much most passionate about is not the glamour of fashion. It's using the platform of fashion to inspire lives, to make life
Exactly.
better. Yes.
It's true. Very, very true. Does trauma block empathy? This is coming from Aubrey Padmore.
But I'm not an expert in this field at all. But you know what? I think trauma can block so many things, because when in traumatic situations, you can actually be even unforgiven, and
Hmm.
or unforgiving, you're not going to feel. Yeah, and I think it does. I'm not an expert in this field, but I think it is possible. I do think so.
I can speak firsthand, because sometimes, like that's why I said we are growing constantly. We are learning and we're growing. We're evolving. You're never the same. When people
No, no,
expect you to be the same
every day.
person that
Yeah,
you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, most of the time those are people that are stuck in that scenario, and it's a loop. It's a constant loop. So for me, I that's why I was saying I can see how people get stuck in that mindset, because of not addressing what the actual is. Like the doctor will give you a prescription for the symptoms, but sometimes the prescription don't cure the actual disease, right? So to say that is at the end of the day, you need to really find out what is causing these symptoms in the first place in order for your disease to be cured, truly cured, not somebody just put a plaster over it. And as I always say, we will stop sweeping things under the rug because that right there, that question is based on being blocked, being stuck, and you operate that way in fear. That's fear. That is fear, and it's like fear of not letting go what happened to you traumatically and facing it because a lot of us don't face our fears. We don't. We run
Because they
away from
can't deal with it. A lot of people cannot. They prefer to block it out than deal with it, and that is the reality. A lot of times, people prefer to just pretend it's not there, and instead of just just facing it and dealing with whatever the consequences are. Like you were saying
it.
that we all are because we all like every life is it's. I mean, when you look at our journeys, I mean, we all are, none of us have arrived. We all are becoming. And like I was saying to a part of my class a couple of weeks ago that the most important construction site is the one that we constructed within. Because when you learn to
Mm,
win from that inside, you learn to know who you are. But they say that the most important days in a man's life is when he was born and when he finds out why. And
mhm.
that's why it's good to spend time with you alone. Nothing is wrong. Some people don't like to be alone. It is really good to get to know you. Get to know you as an individual. Do you even like you? Do you even love you?
Correct. Really look in the
Yes,
mirror.
yes, you got to get to know you.
Yep. A lot of people run from that. Like really, like I look at myself,
You
good,
got to
bad,
go.
ugly, and indifferent. I love you. And I look at myself and I say, I love you. Right? But
Absolutely.
a lot of people don't do that. They're afraid and they think that it is arrogance. I don't call it arrogance. I call it self-love. Right? That is self-love and a self-appreciation. You have to start doing that. Sonia, we have come. Unfortunately, we will run over time, but I don't care. But I love this conversation. We could do a part two, a three, and a four because I know we got enough things to talk about. That's the pages that just jump out. Right? So my thing is taken away from what is your legacy, your future, how you gonna boss up and boss up these young people. You understand? For your legacy, what are you looking forward to?
Kim, when I hear the word legacy, I reflect on my dad. My
Okay.
dash must really dance.
Hmm.
That very small dash from when I was born to when I expire, when I hope for that decades from now. But
Hmm.
that sums up my legacy right there.
Hmm.
And that's why, like Stephen Covey said, begin with the end in mind.
Hmm.
Many times I've heard my eulogy. I have written my eulogy. They're trying to tweak, you do things, it must not be padded at all. So if you begin with the end in mind, you know what your legacy, you want your legacy to be. My legacy must be about the people, about getting to the hearts of the people, that heartstring, the connection by the heart of
Hmm.
making other lives better, right? As a result of Sonia being here on earth, when my grandson, I often tell Jaden, I said, Jaden, when your name is mentioned, your grandmother name is mentioned, it must be like, oh, your grandmother, doors must open as a result of me being Jaden's grandmother or Shantae or Peyton's grandmother, right?
Very
So for
true.
me, legacy about the value I've added to people's lives. That's it for me.
That is a beautiful thing. Tell me one more thing about your being a mom. Your mom, your whole mother. I mean, like grown women, children, right? What was it like when you were going through that transitional phase of, like as you said, you were a single mother at one point and being in this business that you are currently in and doing all the things that you are doing. How did you balance that out?
Balance. I don't look for the balance anymore. I look for the blend. But if I'm to go back, we'll have to have another show because my first pregnancy was very traumatic, depressed. I was very depressed. It was depressing. I was very depressed in my first pregnancy because I was separated from my daughter's dad when I was 4 months, right? So, but again, I tend to look at the glass house. I don't really dwell on that. But coming back, you mentioned the word balance. I believe in a blend more than a balance because something is going to tip the other. So it's like, okay, when I look at the wheel of life, I don't want to be scoring 90 in one and 0 in the other, right?
Mhm.
If I score a nice medium there, a little 50, 45, or 60 and whatever, I'm good at that. So if I can find that blend more than a balance in life, because I think balance is an delusional. I don't think we find that balance, but we can actually find a blend.
Correct. So how you felt like the mommy part? Would they have a hard time like just moving around with you when you were moving around in the business? Because I had my challenges. I remember feeling so guilty so many times whenever I had to travel. And my sisters, my mom, I had the
Guilt, yeah.
village. I had the experience of the village with my children. Thank God for my sisters and my mom. My God rest her soul. Right? They were absolutely amazing when it came to being on hand when I traveled. Because I wouldn't want my children staying with strangers. And then my ex-husband, obviously, when he was home, he would take up those reins. But most of the time, the village was helping me raise my children. How did
I
it
just
feel
want to
for
it truly
you?
takes a village.
Mm-hmm.
And my family, my family are still very supportive. And I had kids that were very understanding. I thank God for that because they knew that they wanted their mommy to be there. Like when my daughter was valedictorian, I couldn't even be there. I was traveling. I was in London because of work. But I do believe that extended family that we have in the Caribbean, it's a real plus for us. And I mean, my two girls, they think that I'm the best mom in the world, and I know that they would have. I know there were cases there where I could have been better, but I did what I had to do with the resources I had and the knowledge I had at that time. I did to the best of my ability. Looking
Mm-hmm.
back, maybe I did trade something else to be there more, but then at that time, because I mean, when you don't have the support of a father, it's like you make the decisions financially, economic. I mean, everything emotionally and everything. It's that difficult. So
Mm-hmm.
I did what I had to do to the
And you
best
did
of
a
my ability with the
fantastic
resources
job
we had.
because your daughters has done like you playing modest, but your daughters have done phenomenally. I mean, like
So
your
proud of them.
children are a reflection of you. The
I'm
next the
so proud
next
of them.
before we go, and there's one last thing I ask this question: is there any special thing you wish to share with the world that no one knows about you? That is a cranker right there. That's a kicker.
The next show, I certainly do that. The next show, I will. I'll do it in the next show. So that's reason for them to come
With
back and
that,
hear what I
ladies
have to
and
share with the world for
gentlemen,
one day.
again, I want to thank you so much. Leave me with a quote, though, Sonia. Leave me with a quote from your heart.
We have to every day intentionally do the things that we have to do to live our best lives because we all were born with seeds of greatness and we just have to nurture that. Just have to think about disruption. When you're planting a seed, Cam, it's dark, but there's a light when it shoots up there, right? So every time you think about the disruption in your life, think about growth, think about living the best version of you.
I love that. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, my guest, Miss Sonia Noel, thank you so much for coming on Virtuosity TV tonight. We look forward to sharing more with you. We will definitely be doing this a part two, and get
That
more
was
in grain on how we can help, and what we're doing next, what is to come. And I'm excited. So, Sonia, thank you again. Thank you, Barbados. Thank you, Guyana. Thank you, St. Lucia.
I'm gonna have my dessert now. With this sticky coffee pudding, it's here on my table. I'm coming now. Yes, I'm gonna go have my dessert now. Bye bye. Cheers.
Well, enjoy
Thank
the rest of
you.
your night
Thank
and
you.
see you soon. Mwah. Yeah.
When we move, crowd scream like crazy. Roll it, sweet and slow. Girl, you got that fire, let it show. High energy, let the rhythm flow. We not stop till the sun come glow. Wine into the max, no hold back. Spin it round, no bring it right back. Jump and wave, girl, push it back. Smoke and flame, your body on attack. Bacchanal vibes, me love how you move. Sweat drip down when you find the groove. Island thing sweet like mango. The wine so Wine it to the max, go over. Spin it round, now bring it right back. Jump and wave, girl mash it chat. Soak off flares, your body on attack. Carnival ready, flags in the air. Every waistline, moving with flair. Baseline pump like
I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's show. Looking forward to next week. You know, all the way is trying to get our height.
Me body set, the vibe so high, you can't come down. Me rule this
Talent that is out there. Be making sure that you stay tuned to Virtuosity TV. Our plans, stay tuned because we are expanding in terms of our music, our content on Virtuosity TV, with encouraging people who have content to upload to our television station and all that kind of stuff. We're gonna be doing big things, so I'm excited for that. I look forward to seeing you guys next Saturday. Make sure you like, you subscribe to our YouTube channel, love and share. Peace out.